Hi, Shawn. Thanks so much for doing this interview. To get us
Hi,
started,
Allison.
hi. To get us started, can you go ahead and introduce yourself and share with everyone what your current position is?
Yeah, hi. I'm Shawn Davis. I currently work at Resolution Systems Institute. We're here in Chicago, and I am the director of foreclosure mediation.
And so, how did you come to getting this position at RSI, working with foreclosure mediation, and what has been your general career path in ADR?
Yeah, sure. Well, I went to law school at Pepperdine, and one reason I chose Pepperdine for my law degree, as I was really interested already in pursuing alternative dispute resolution, and they've got a great ADR program there. So I did the master's in alternative dispute resolution concurrently with the law degree there, and just found it to be a really great community in terms of learning more about the field and kind of how to break into it. I would say that my very first earliest kind of exposure to alternative dispute resolution came, way back earlier in my life when I did peer mediation, like playground peer mediation. So I always kind of tell that as a funny story in the sense that sixth grade I started this and that thought it was just kind of neat and kind of fun, and it had no idea at the time this was an actual emerging field, or that this could be an actual job, an actual career. But so I did that, and then did it all through. We had programs at my middle school and at my high school. So we just started with basic training, like I statements, active listening, and we started getting exposed to a lot of the ideas that was on a more basic level, but similar stuff to honestly what I just reviewed again in the 40-hour mediation training I just did here in Chicago with the Center for Conflict Resolution. So it's really great to see the power of those skills and how much you can kind of grow with them even as the subject matter becomes more sophisticated. But yeah, in my high school, if someone got suspended for fighting, they had to come to peer mediation before they could come back to school. And so we did all sorts of interesting things like that. And then, then once like I say, later in life, kind of realized, okay, there's kind of a field that I can find my way back to this subject matter. And that's how I kind of ended up pursuing that along with the law degree.
Well,
Um,
Shawn, sorry to interrupt you, but when did you, or what was and I'm going to edit this, but what was the motivating factor, or when did you decide that you did want to pursue dispute resolution and why?
well, I majored in history in college, and I loved that. And I was kind of at this place where I think like many history or other liberal arts type major people, who many of whom end up going to law school, are wondering at the end of their career, at their end of their studies. I was at UCLA, but what they're going to do with that field. So I figured I would either go on and get a PhD in history, and just after talking to a number of people in the field, I really wanted something where I would work more closely with people, helping people, and where I could kind of take that work wherever I went. And so that's where I kind of got more in this direction of maybe I'd go to law school. I was
That the
never really
advice you
sure.
got to go to law
What'd you say?
school? Was that the advice you got, was to go to law school then?
Um, I don't know if I'd say I got advice to go to law school, but it was definitely something that was on the table. Like I say, just based on what kind of my undergraduate career. I mean, there were some things that were already ruled out. I mean, I wasn't gonna go into the hard sciences or medicine or anything like that. So it was kind of this well, maybe this default law option. And that kind of brought me back to, well, how could I tie in, going back to law school, to something that I could actually see myself doing, that I actually had more of a passion in. And, like I said, I had done this kind of earlier, communication technique, negotiation, peer mediation type stuff. And then, in college I did some, model UN type work, just stuff where it was always really interesting for me to work with people, to help them solve problems, to get to do negotiation and problem solving in a way that seemed more productive. And so that's when I, started looking into programs that would offer me a law school education that would prepare me in a more holistic way to do those other aspects of the job. I think I talked to a lot of other people who didn't get the opportunity to take classes in like client relationships and cross-cultural communication and negotiation, and so I think that was a big appeal to me, that I would probably be able to find some sort of place for myself with that kind of foundation.
And as you looked at then graduating from law school, having taken those classes, talk us through a little bit about your decision-making process of what types of careers to pursue post-law school.
Yeah, well, I had definitely been warned that it can be challenging to break into, working in ADR right out of school, and kind of what the different options are of maybe landing there eventually versus going straight into that type of work. And I graduated at a challenging time too. Graduated in 2011, so the economy was still pretty bad, especially in California. Legal jobs were getting difficult to come by. So, I just kind of started exploring what was out there. And what I would say for people not really sure how to do that is that I tried to continue to build the relationships with people that I knew were in the field that I wanted to be in. So I went to work and help one of the professors at Pepperdine, who works in the ADR program, Professor Tom Stepanowicz, and got to really learn a lot from him about mediation, arbitration, research writing, and so that relationship was a really good kind of mentorship building opportunity as a transition time for me. But then I ended up just taking a position that was not a career job at all. It was a contract, like, oh, maybe we'll need you for about a year, just regular job that I didn't know. I didn't know at the time what the master plan was, what the goal with that position was. And so I'd say also don't be afraid of those kind of jobs, because I think it's true in all work, but especially mediation. I think whatever subject matter expertise you gain, or whatever your kind of even just general life experiences are, you're going to bring that in, and you're going to be able to use that and apply that to how you're relating to clients and to people that you're going to be working with and helping them solve problems and facilitate problem solving. So I went to work on a project where I was participating in an audit, a bank audit of foreclosure practices. So it was a government mandated review. And so it was just a really interesting project where I learned a lot about the housing crisis and how it had come about in foreclosure law. And like I said, at the time, that had very little to do with mediation, except for the fact that every day I was reading people's stories. I was reading their complaints and what their problems were, and I was trying to get at what had gone wrong for them and what had actually happened and how we could fix that. So there was still a lot of that aspect of that job that I think relates back to what your skills are as a mediator. But that expertise gave me some footing or some kind of past subject matter knowledge to be able to come in and direct the foreclosure mediation project here at RSI.
That's really cool. I mean, I think that we're hearing this from some folks, and I know a number of professors are sharing with their students that even if you're not working in a very specific sort of ADR-defined mediation job, let's say,
sure,
and that the skills that we learned or that we teach in these classes, these courses, these trainings, that actually do apply in these other professions and our other careers as well.
Sure.
So if you were talking to Shawn in 6th grade, so I'm not going to do that one. I asked somebody else this question. It's kind of a weird one. So let me ask a different question. So if you were to give advice to somebody who was thinking about starting a career in dispute resolution or was being exposed to dispute resolution as a peer mediator like you were, what advice would you give them?
I would just say that the more I've been in the field, the more I've gotten to talk to a variety of people, I'd say that there's a lot of different paths. There's a lot of different avenues by which people come into this field. And I think that's one reason most of us that are in it really love it, is because there's really an interesting, diverse group of people that you get to work with, and everyone is bringing some sort of different motivation or past experience that gives them a unique strength as a mediator. So that makes the work really dynamic and really interesting. But I think it also means that there's not one clear trajectory that you have to go on, and that can be confusing because I know for me it probably would have been easier or more reassuring at many moments in my life to have some sort of concrete written out plan at every step of the way, but I don't think that whatever field you choose, it works out like that for a lot of people. But so I would just say I know a lot of people that they pursue the law side of things and then they start working in ADR. A lot of other people in our field that have more of an interest in human resources or an ombuds type work, which I think is really interesting. So there's just whatever area of life of types of problems people can have. Many of them all need professionals that are skilled communicators. So however you can gain those skills where you're going to become a strong and clear communicator, listener, problem solver, and just so many people that are so creative in this field, and that's really fun to see too. I think some other jobs don't leave as much room for that, but a lot of my job now is in system design. So how do we actually design mediation systems so that they're efficient, they work for people? And so I'm doing a whole bunch of things that law school really has nothing to do with. How do we do outreach? How do we do language access? How do we manage my team of program coordinators? How do we convince housing counselors and judges and program partners and a whole slew of other people to work with us and come together on one project? So all those other kind of interesting aspects of managing, I think those skills can be really important too if you want to get into a side of ADR where you're really setting up programs or evaluating them. So those are some things that have all kind of tied together for me in this job.
I love it. I mean, it's a much broader perspective as to what skills we're bringing to our jobs, but also how we can pursue jobs in different areas. So I really appreciate you sharing that, Shawn.
Sure.
Thanks so much for doing this interview, and I look forward to seeing you soon.
It's been fun. Thanks.
Thanks, Shawn.